This is Lisa Lucia Arden here, lisaluciaarden.com, political consultant and guard for solutions for USA humanity, and singer and speaker. And everyone should be a guard for their own nation to bring peace and justice. Here's my new book. It's a children's book, Jesus Christ, Salvation for All. And here's my original book, Our Need to Give to the World. And God First, America, our miracle. God First, nations are a miracle. It's another new book that I just put out a month ago. And God First, in God's power, America save our legacy. In God's power, nations save your legacy. This applies to all individuals. And I'm going to be speaking on these books right now. And I'm going to be using God First, America, a miracle, to show you about this issue with you won't believe this, but Russia supporting an attack on America. That's what I said, that when you have Russia, you have China, you have Iran, and you have counterparts that are in our country, everywhere they are, where China is, Russia's, where Iran is, and Russia's, and in China. And if you notice, they snuck in the borders. And I told you I had complaints in Florida, and also they came through the borders and they were rolling suitcases, the Chinese, remember? And all the computer systems. So listen to this lady here.
Hide us supplies in the United States for their homeland attack.
Which is probably our own supplies because we left everything there.
So.
Am I right?
I mean, it's a different kind of supply. I'll tell you what the supply is. But it is a Russian channel, reportedly, that the supply has moved through.
See, it's the Russian channel, see, where Russia's, China's, where Iran is, where the people they let through the borders that are their counterparts are them together. And so I've heard from other people, they also believe there's going to be attacks in America, but we need to pray for our safety, and we need to pray for our safety and have miracles. And that's why China also, they had rolling suitcases, if you noticed, when they opened borders, and they were professionals. And also Africa, they had people come in also. So I believe these are all setups to cause trouble in our country, in different offices, and they call them cells, but different offices around the United States to try to start an inter-war inside. And this is why Russia came to places as Cuba and other places. Listen.
So we have to remember, there's a lot of dirty games going on around the Russian-Ukraine war. We're doing things to counter Russia and likely funding terrorists. Russia's doing the same thing, to not think they're trying to also undercut us and also get on the side of our enemy and hit us with our enemy. Because think about it, Al-Qaeda's going to pull off an attack. It's going to be blamed on ISIS. No one's going to call it Al-Qaeda. No one's definitely going to say it. Russia played a piece in it, right? So it's very smart of them, too. And so there's all this kind of like, we say we're a near peer, and near peer has gotten smart about using terrorists. We might be thinking Sirajudeen Haqqani can be used against them. And so everybody's playing this game of the terrorists now.
That's what she believes.
So we have two of the world's largest superpowers convoluting with Al-Qaeda and terrorist organizations.
And remember, to them, they beat us, right? Like, right now, like, Al-Qaeda and the Taliban are power players. I mean, people think,
they are.
Afghanistan's a third
to
world
respect
country.
them.
They're not being treated as a third world country, right?
Right.
The foreign, our enemies are not treating them that way. They're treating them with respect.
Thank you so much. So this is why we have to take this seriously. And I want to show you on my book about Russia. As January the 2024, China has the world's most significant forces by active duty military personnel, with about 2 million active soldiers. India, United States, North Korea, and Russia round up about to 5. And it's terrible because look at Republic of China has 2.1585, 2,185,000, and Russia has 1,154,000. So that's that much more than us, and we have 1.328. But we have Japan, we have Germany, but we have to realize they're going to use other contexts, other problems, such as Iran and also counterparts, and China passing through the borders, and other, like she said, the Taliban and Al Qaeda to use terrorists to start trouble. And this is very serious, and we need to come to terms with this. We need to realize that what is the strongest army? The strength of the country's armed forces is determined by how many personnel they maintain and the number of quality of their military equipment. The number of quality, the quality and the number, for example, looking only at personnel does not factor in the overwhelming higher number of nuclear warheads owned by Russia and the United States compared to other countries. One way is to answer this question is to look at all the total amounts of money each country spends on military, including personnel, technology, in terms of countries with the highest military spending. And the United States leads the world in an annual budget with 3 times as large than second is China. But then we have they're using the terrorists, as I said recently. That sentence doesn't exactly state, but as recently I said in the last month, that when China and Iran and in Russia together and their counterparts, those are the Al Qaeda and other people they use to bring through the borders. And I told you that they set up offices. It's in my podcast for a long time now that they set up offices within our country, and that they're working together. And this is very important to realize, and this is what I've been working on for a while now to tell you. Russia, see, these are all the geopolitical powers now, and that's why the border should have never been opened. There's Chinese geopolitical powers, and you saw the rolling suitcases with the officemen that came through that are controlling probably the computer systems and office setup, and geopolitical powers of Russia. They come through the airplanes, and I've heard complaints already about them, that they met Russian people. And Saudi Arabia, thank God, wants freedom and wants justice. And North Korea, there's geopolitical powers. They give money. North Korea gives money to Russia, and they just gave 1,000 men a couple days ago, and they give them all their tools. And then India is staying strong, in Germany too. But Africa's in big trouble, and we talked about that. Africa recently, I kept on talking about it. I didn't even study it, but I saw recently that they're in really big, rare financial situation. That's why I kept on asking to get conservative companies to come in there and lift them out. So now let's continue about the situation with the integration of Russia, China, Iran, and Al Qaeda, or their counterparts, I call them, entering into America. In China, Russia, China, and Iran, and their counterparts. And it shows here, God's First America, a Miracle, is by Lisa Luciard, and that's me, and I wrote this in 2024. So I wanted to show you the seriousness of Russia and what is going on, and we have to take them seriously. And I always took Putin seriously. I begged him to stop, but he's the war. But he did use his people. Half of his people are dead. It's beautiful, because I had some Russian friends, and I love Russia, and half his people are dead, and many of his country is a disaster. All those beautiful agriculture, right? But architecture, it's terrible, and that this has to happen. But they still want to do war, and now he's within our country. China, Russia, and Hamas, Iran are geopolitical powers. We need to protect USA, and this is a very serious thing. I believe that we could stop Putin, with Hurricane by bringing monies, but then at the same time we have to protect inside our country, even when we stop the war with Hurricane and Putin, which I believe that we need to go back to the table with President Trump and Zelensky they need to pray with each other. Pray with each other, right? And they need to forgive each other. But why would you just continually destroy your people, your humanity? If you really love humanity and really love your country, you would work harder and harder to bring something to the table with Putin, because that's all President Trump is saying, that when he spoke, is that he wanted to bring peace, and he always has. And maybe there's something that we're not seeing, and they're not saying that Zelensky does Zelensky want to bring peace. He needs to come back to the table. He needs to forgive, and President Trump in the Washington D.C. needs to come back to the table, and they need to forgive. And because this is now another level of war. But I've talked about this before, about war within our country, of the setup of the offices, and This is a very serious thing. All geopolitical powers, Russia, China, Iran, ISIS, and secret enemies. There's right there, and open borders, because there's open borders, and they came through the borders, but also through the airplanes. And there's nuclear threat. They believe in sociological takeover, world health control. These are all the things that I talked about that we need to protect. There, it's right there, 8C. This is on page 119. All geopolitical powers, Russia, China, Iran, ISIS, secret enemies, they come into the border, open borders, and that's what's happened. And that's what the lady was saying. My name is Lisa Lucia Arden. Russian hurricane could have been negotiated in 2022. As I said, that's another subject, but it all relates. But we need to get that done right away. And I believe that President Trump needs to go back. And I'm asking him with all my heart and soul to go back. It is a divine message to go back. To do that. See, we shall not kill. This is the first commandment, and they're killing their own people. When we have war, when we are able to have negotiation, like Maloney says, we need to come back to the table. When they don't have enough strategy to. Why would you bring your military back in when you don't have a good enough strategy? And she's right. I agree. That's Maloney talks about that. We would, and you would never have the level of business if we were not a Judeo-Christian nation. Do you want to be China, Iran, Iraq, and Russia, and Africa taken over by system, never get out? This is very, very serious. We want to stay strong, and that's why we need to all come to the table together as Americans and pray to protect our country, because they are within our country at this point. And that's why we all have to stand the Kavi. We all have to watch out for America and protect our America. Here it is right here. Moreover, there can be citizens that have hazards and deaths, such as hostages, and many have died in the presence of war between Russia and Hurricane Israel with Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. We can as leaders work to bring new paradigms of peace in the world of global powers, of geopolitical urgencies, with strategic negotiations using the tools of business, commodities, land, contracts, and a gift a country can trade, even easements and passage of land. And I met this beautiful man actually in Fredericksburg, Texas. It was there's a container place where they have places where you stay that they're containers, like originally train containers. They redo them. They're very nice. And I stayed there for a while working on my books, negotiating my books and trying to get them developed. And they were done at that time. And then I met this man, and he knew who I was, and he says, we just needed to give a gift. We just needed to give a gift to Russia, to Putin, and we could have stopped the war. And he was right. And I tried to work with him, but he won't tell me exactly who he is. But I could tell he works with some type of people that are in the government or has some connections. So and that's it. We just need to give a gift. We need to realize we are in seriousness of situation where we have an international community we need to trust. In United States, in Germany, Those are the two that we need to come together. And we can't be against each other, EU. We need to be friends, United States, Germany, Hurricane, all of Europe, because China and Russia are together with Iran and also other counterparts, as I stated. So let's come to table and work together and trust in God. And we need to come together and ask Putin to come together and bring ask Putin to bring a peace treaty, because otherwise there's more Holocaust of evil, and there have been thousands and thousands of people have died in their lands and their people. Where are all the children? That is a Holocaust of evil. Today, when we have everything at our fingertips and many, many monetary things that are already developed, why would you continue? So something you have to ask yourself, why would these leaders continue to have war if they really care about their humans, their people, okay? It's like a human shield. That's what our open borders, our own Biden and Kamala did in Morocco. They opened borders and they let everyone in, and they destroyed our country. It's never been in more dire danger ever in the existence of time, and all put together. And I talked about this, and they were shocked when I talked about this way. And that's why all our businesses need to come together and protect our country. America first, and we need to make America first. The international relations seems to affirm this intuition. New Russian geopolitics is very serious, and we need to put America first. And Chinese state-led global expansion, among others, seem to put state power back in charge after decades of globalization. We need to come together and realize that they want to take over our country, and we need, just as the lady said, come together in truth and preparation. Here she is.
Right? They're saying, what can you do for me? What can I do for you?
And Iran. I forgot
Yeah,
Iran.
And Iran. See, I told you.
And there's North Koreans in
See,
Afghanistan too.
North Korea, and it's funny because I talked about Afghanistan, but I was concerned because I believe more Afghanistan. We need to go back there and make mediation. All those women, they're all in secondary situation and abused, and men. And so it was all lined up, and we were giving the Taliban $40 million a week, $40 million a week, and they're using this money to use on us to go back inside our country and destroy it. Did you know $40 million a week? DOG found that we need to protect our Social Security and our people. We cannot put our people through any more hell. Okay, I beg you, DOG and our President Trump's team, this is very serious. But that's what I said about Afghanistan, and I said they were giving money. And so, did you see this? Our beautiful
Also, that
Sean
makes a lot of
Ryan
sense
show.
with the Israel stuff.
Beautiful
I know
man.
There's a lot of controversy about that. I didn't really understand why we're so heavily involved with that, and but now
it's the same guys who are going to attack us. So let
that
Israel
makes-
take them out.
that makes. So do you
Worth
think?
every penny.
Yeah.
See, and Israel is taking care of Iran and Hezbollah and other counterparts that are the Al-Qaeda and all that, and that's why we need to help. That's what I was saying, that we need to support Israel because they're protecting Europe and United States from these ISIS. I call them ISIS, and they call them Al-Qaeda, and Iran. We need to also support Israel. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. This is Lisa Lucia Arden. And we just talked about this book, God First, America, a Miracle. And then also, this is my first original book, God, Our Need to Give to the World. And it talks about all these things that we're talking about now, that all the government offices have to be checked, and we need to protect our borders and protect our country. I'm a consultant and a guard and solutions for USA and all humanity's thinker and speaker. And this is a very, very serious thing. I've said these things way ahead, even though I don't have a big team. And my team is these individuals that see my work, and then I line it up with them when I see that they understand, even though I presented it already. My name is Lisa Lucia Arden. I'm a consultant. I'm a political analyst, politician, independent, but I do work with a group indirectly. And I appreciate your time. This is the book, God First, America a Miracle. God First, Nations Are a Miracle. And here's my other new book, In God's Power, America, Save Our Legacy. And this is another book, A Rise to God's Truth, I wrote, and I have many other books. Please give a donation. That would be beautiful to give a donation to us. And here's my other Our Need to Give to the World, my second edition. And I have podcasts. I have many, many podcasts you could listen to in speaking. And I have 30-minute interview. And I have adults and children health and well-being development for counseling, coaching. I've done that for many years because I was in the medical business for 20 years, and also I'm a trainer, and also I understand at the highest level the food systems, and that's another thing I work on with the food system. I've talked about it recently, but about pharmaceuticals and foods, that I talked about it for years. And I'm a consultant for presidents, CEOs, and geopolitical specialists in big companies. And I sell art and my books. And also, this is a beautiful thing, stem cell research. I did years ago at University of Southern California with my ex-husband, because I was in medical practice for 20 years, and I was always interested in stem cell. This is a patch that they put on seeds about that small, see, and then they put it on, and it develops. It puts a catalyst to your stem cells in your body when you go out in the sun. And I use it, and I use it. It's excellent for my health. I love it, and they send it to you in the mail, and they come in a beautiful envelope, and the presentation is excellent if you want to use it for any companies, to sell it in any companies and so forth. And they also have other items that they sell. And but this patch is a very popular patch over 20 years in United States companies, from United States, but it's sold internationally. It's sold at all these places. Look at all these companies. You could get passive income. All these companies it's sold at, and you could get passive income. And when you purchase it and become a member in that way, and it's called First Healthy Truth. It's called lifewave.com, First Healthy Truth. And I highly recommend it. And it's been in business for 20 years, and it shows that it's been a great for many people. For 20 years, it's enhancing technology of stem cell, and I highly recommend it. Helps for vitality, activity, sleep, movement, wellness, and skincare. Thank you so much. This is Lisa Luciardin, and I appreciate your time. And we need to believe that we need to protect our America, and Russia is inside our America, that we need to protect it. They're with China, Iran, and their counterparts, which they call ISIS or Al-Qaeda. And that's why we need to be appreciative that we have Netanyahu protecting us, and also protecting us from Iran and Russia indirectly, and China. And this is my work right here. And Ash Wednesday is coming up, and that's beautiful. But see this right here? This is my work, Lisa Luciard. And they took me off LinkedIn, and it was a beautiful LinkedIn. I have to get myself back on, but this is all my work I've done for many years. I appreciate your time, and thank you so much. This is lisaluciardin.com. Thank you, Lisa Luciardin, in Facebook. Have a beautiful day. Please look me up.